Welcome to Makerspace Tuesday. My name's Miss Katy, and today we are going to make a raft out of sticks that I just found out in the library yard and string. And then we're going to use a piece of paper for our sail, and we're going to see if it floats. That's all we're doing. It's going to be super easy, super fun, and then you can just do this wherever you are. I'm going to change the camera so you're going to watch what I'm doing and you can see close up, so it'll be easy to follow along, and it'll be so much fun to take anywhere you go. You can show everyone how amazingly skilled you are with your raft building abilities. So let's get started. Here we are with our close-up look. We are going to make a raft using just these sticks. Now I just went out into the yard under a tree and I looked for different sticks about this thickness. A little thinner than my finger, kind of pinky finger size. For you guys it'll be a little thicker than that, but I just went and looked for sticks that were kind of straight. Some of them are bowed a little bit. Some of them were a little wonky like this, and I decided not to use those because they won't bind together so well. So I looked for sticks as straight as possible, and then I just broke them down and just snapped them until they all were about the same length. Now I have two bigger sticks that I'm going to connect these to. So our raft is going to end up on top of these like that. And I'm going to take the string and I'm going to bind it around those. All right, so let's just get started. We're going to move all these out of the way. Let's do one at a time. So we'll take our string, give ourselves some slack, cross it over like this. Some extra there. And pick it up. I'm just going to wrap it around like that. See? Okay. I'm going to make sure it's kind of tight. Hold this one with my finger down here. Tighten this up a little bit. And we're going to go around a couple times, so you have to hold it with your finger or else it'll just fall. So 1, 2, 3. That looks good. Now I'm going to cross over underneath here, and I'm going to do it the opposite way. So 1, 2, 3. You see? I'm going to pull that tight like that. See how it's like an X pattern on there? So, and I let go, and it holds on. So pretty secure. Now let's just add our next one. We're over here, or underneath here between the two. It's the same thing. We're going to cross over in between the two V's, like that. 1, 2, 3. I like 3 because I feel like it's just secure enough without getting too crazy with the string. And then just come over this way. 1, need some more slack. 1, 2, 3. Nice and tight. There we go. Now we have 2. This one wants to be next, I guess. Now our center ones are going to hold the mast, so you want the straightest ones in the center. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left, giving me, and I'll put, let's see how these have a little bit of a gap. I want them nice and tight. So I'm thinking, oh, but look, if I do that, then they're nice and tight. So I'm going to do this one next, and I'm going to just do it so it's curved in like that. So here we go. That one has 3. Here we go again. 1, 2, 3. cross over. 1, 2, 3. We're moving right along. You can kind of move them around still too. They're not super tight. That you can't move them around or pull them down if you had them too far one way. All right, so let's put that next one in. That was nice and straight. Move this one around here so it starts out of the way. There. See how that's going to be nice and tight together? Now I have to take my string, let out some slack. All right. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Come through here. 1, 2, 3. We're coming along. Let's keep trucking. Alright, now I finished putting this row on. I'm going to tie this part off. So I'm just going to cut that string, make sure it's where I want it, and now I'm just going to thread it through this top one, like that. Pull it nice and tight. And that's not going anywhere. So you can just kind of thread it around again, like that. Oof. Just like this. You can tie it like that, and you can do it again. All right, nice and tight, not going anywhere. This one over here, we didn't even tie, but we will now. So I'll just come around here, slide it through this one time, 2 times, and then I'm going to tie it through this right here. Now this is not an exact science. This is a rough and tumble way to go. So it still works though. There's not an exact way to do it. Just tie it off like that. I showed you 2 different ways to do it, and you can do it whatever way works for you. So now let's do it on the other side. Okay, for this side, it's a little trickier because we're already attached on that end. So you're going to want to cut your string. Make sure you have plenty. I've got quite a bit here, at least 4 feet. We're not going to need it all, but I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So, just going to get started with the weaving. So it's got a little knot right there. Perfect. So I've got a little extra. Start on this side. 1, 2, 3. On that way. And come across. And then pull it through. So 1. 1. 2, 3. So there we go. So that's a stiff one right there. I'm actually just going to tie this right over here. Flip it over so you can see. I just have these 2 ends. Since we're already right here, I'm just going to tie that in a knot. it's nice and secure. All right, and we just keep going down the line. Like I said, this one's a little trickier because we have to work with all this string to pull through, but no big deal. You could ball it up if you'd like, if it gets in your way. You could make it a smaller string instead of pulling the whole thing through, but it doesn't bother me, so I'm just going to pull it all through. 1, 2, 3 on that side, then through this little gap the other way. So 1. I don't know what string I'm pulling on. This one. 1. Push it through again. 2. 3. See? Nice and tight. So let's keep going. Them all tied down tight. Now I'm just going to tie off this last one. Come around here loose. See how my finger's in here? And then I can pull this through like that. And I'm actually going to do that twice. And then I'm going to push that knot down tight on here, and then pull it through. So there we go. It's nice and tight. Just cut out the extra. And there we go. Now we have a raft that will float in the water, but we just don't want to have just a boring old raft. We want a sail. So now we have to take a curved stick. Have to be super curved, but just a little bit, and it's going to go between those two. See, but look how it falls down, right? So we need to get that to hold. So we're going to, you can either use some hot glue if you have a hot glue gun, but I'm also going to show you how to just tie it together like this, okay? So I'm going to take my string, got about 2 feet here of a string. I've got this where I need it to go. I'm just going to this over the 2 logs that it's next to. Logs. The 2 sticks that I'll be holding. And if it's easier, you can use your scissors or something to pull this through like that. First, we're going to tie it nice and tight. As tight as we can. With the stick in there, remember. It's one side. Now I'm going to do it. I'm going to wrap around this. Now that's standing upright. See how it's upright like this? I'm going to wrap around it like that. I'm going to put it through. Tie it on the other side. It's a little wobbly, it's a little tricky, it might fall out, you might have to move things around. That's okay. It's part of building, it's part of being an engineer, is figuring out what works with the materials you have. So the materials we have, and so we're seeing how we can make them work for what we need them to do. So there's one time around. And I'm going to do kind of the same thing here. I'm just going to thread that through this side and just wrap it around. There's not, oh, just don't get it wrapped around the end log there. But we just kind of got to keep going until it's tight. So we just keep wrapping it until it is tight. Now that I wrapped it, I think it's going to be nice and tight. I'm going to tie these two ends. Just like that. I'm going to double knot it. Cut off the loose part. And there we go. You can see it sticks out a little bit in the bottom, which is fine because it's going to be in the water. You don't want it all the way to the top because then it will just fall over. You need a little bit of grip down there. So, all right, now let's put our sail on. I'm just going to measure. You want it to bend a little bit, so I'm going to use this whole sheet, just a regular sheet of, this is a piece of scrapbook paper, just because I thought it'd be pretty. It looks cool. It's a cool design. Reminds me of Moana. Cool design there. So this whole project reminds me of Moana. If you've seen that movie, it's very cool, very inspiring. Makes you want to sail the open seas. So here I'm just going to cut the width, measure. Yep. There we go. Cut off a little at the bottom. Measure to see if that looks right. Yep, that looks right. So now I'm just going to make two slits where the stick is going to go through. Watch your fingers. See how my fingers are over here? Have adults do this if you're little. You don't want anybody cutting their fingers off. Fingers. All right. There we go. I've got one slit here, one slit here. Okay? And I'm just going to thread this through. There's one side. Now it's going to go back through the other side, like that. See? So it goes right through either side. So now this will be the sail, and you can bend it like that. It will catch the wind if you have it outside on a pond or in a puddle or in a pool. So there we go. Now let's see if she floats. See if she's seaworthy, shall we? All right, Adelaide. Launch our raft. Let's see if she's seaworthy. It floats! Hooray!